Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, this is such a beautiful day. We thank you so much for not just the beautiful weather, but for the amazing opportunity we have to gather together to learn more, not only about this project, but about all the great work that's occurring within the department. Heavenly Father, thank you for all the people who took time out of their busy schedules. And of all the things they could be doing, they're here today with us. We mahalo each and every one of them. We ask a blessing of protection for those who are on their way. And at the conclusion of today's events, we ask a very special blessing upon each and every person as they depart this Aina and return home, that each may leave with a full heart, a full mind, and with your protection of safety in their travels. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for all the wonderful, many bountiful blessings that we are recipients of today and every day. We thank you so much for Prince Kuhio. We thank you for his vision. We thank you for being able to see and live and breathe things that he only dreamed about. Heavenly Father, guide us each and every day with aloha and integrity. Continue to guide and direct us. We acknowledge thy hand in all things and conclude this prayer in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Commissioner. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to go over very quickly on what you can anticipate for today. So you're going to see that there is a lot of information that's going to be shared with you. And you can find this on the website. We will have a link to the video for this for today's session, as well as a document in a PDF format that you can click on if you wanted to go to a certain page. So you don't have to like go through the whole video to find out the question that you might have. We are going to have, before Chair Watson comes up, just want to continue to go through. We will have sharing a little bit about the projects that are happening in Kauai. We're going to spend a little bit more time with the project for Waipouli. We'll have the developers and that development team come up. You'll have a time there to kind of also have some question and answer time as well. But we'll also have question and answer time afterwards during the workshop time, where you can approach the different tables. We have not only from our district office, we have our district office representatives there. We'll have the development team also available in the back. We have Hawaiian Consul, Nahasda unit from DHHL, our housing branch, to talk about the process and possibly some paperwork that you might need, as well as Hawaii Community Assets, which we've been partnering with them, and you'll hear a little bit more about it, of going through financial assessments, helping you find out what you can afford, what can you buy, and also how the developer can build based upon what you can afford. So great having all of these partners. We'll have a workshop time afterwards that you can have some talk story time with them. So after that, we'll go through successorship and transfers. Very important information. If you haven't had a chance to update your contact info, please do that. Hawaiian Council will come and share with us also an explanation from Housing Branch on what's the process coming up early part of next year. And then once again, open house. With that, I'm going to invite Chair Watson to welcome you and then share a little bit about his vision.
Hello, Kako. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming today to participate in this orientation. And when I say orientation, it really is just to explain what this project is about. And then after that, whether you want to participate in the project and maybe become a homestead lessee through in using this project, that's your choice. And again, it is a choice. And today you're going to not only learn more about that particular project, but you'll also learn the requirements involved in not only becoming a homestead lessee, but certain restrictions as well as requirements that some people might not like. And but let me also say that this particular project is something totally brand new for the department. One of the things that we've always tried to do is be, at least during this administration, is to be responsive to the needs of our beneficiaries. And so that, has been something that when you look at it historically, the department way back over 100 years ago, we got about 200,000 acres. And when you look at the lands, they're in very isolated areas, very difficult to develop, and more importantly, not as desirable. So for the last couple of years, we've tried to change that around. And so in 2022, we were fortunate in that we're able to, through Act 279, receive about $600 million that we're using. And Kalani will kind of go through as it relates to this particular island, the projects that we're moving forward on. But getting back to this project, Waipouli, it's very, to me, it's almost historic in that the department, in addressing the needs for residential development, and I'm putting aside the agriculture and pastoral, which is more relative to the Aina, and getting back to the Aina as Prince Kuhio wanted to and sought as a way to rehabilitate his people. But using this approach, because of the fact that we have over 29,000 people on our wait list, when you look at the makeup of the wait list, a lot of them are elderly. Over half are kupuna with limited income. And historically, as you'll see in some of the slides that you'll be seeing, the department has not been very responsive, has done a really, really poor job of making homesteads, especially in the residential area, available to our beneficiaries. So we needed to kind of pivot, and I love that word pivot in the sense that, let's, be a little bit more creative. One of the things that when the governor brought me and asked me to come back to this, the program, it was primarily based on my experience in developing affordable housing, which is a totally different animal than your for-profit development approaches that you see, as well as experience even with the department. Now, historically, the department has made it a requirement. You have to pre-qualify for a loan before you even get to the table to be considered for an award. And as a result of that, a lot of people were bypassed. A lot of people have died waiting. And it's been historically a very sad, at least from my standpoint, a situation that we need to correct. And one way to correct it is this project. Not only are we giving a second or different choice in the sense these are townhouses. We've never done that, the whole history of our program. But let me also remind you, this particular program is over 100 years old. So back in 1921, there was no townhouse. There were no high rises. There was none of that that could be considered as a choice or residential use. So that's changed. On Oahu, we're now doing a high rise, 23 stories, 278 units. And again, we're using innovative financing to raise about $155 million that is now creating an opportunity for people, again, that we bypass, but in a situation where, for not everybody wants to live in a single family home, especially, I live in a condo and, I love it. And I think there are a lot of people that might like the idea of, being on the 20th floor of a high rise looking and overlooking Diamond Head in a great location. So we're trying to give our beneficiaries choices. The only way we can do that is to become innovative, which is what we're doing on this project. Now, this particular project, we're fortunate, and again, not only through Act 279, where we were able to acquire new lands, but we also were able to acquire this piece of property in Kapa'a. And it's basically a renovation project of 82 existing units that are, upgraded. And the developers will be presenting some of the things that they'll be doing that I think would be very interesting and relevant to you. But one of the things that we also has changed in our approach in trying to address our long waiting list, which is over 29,000, is to do it in a way that not only opens it up for those that with the less income, and in a way that it's a new and I wouldn't call it unique, but Indian tribes and some others have used it. So we're kind of replicating and following that, but we're also creating different financing approaches that haven't been used. So this is something new, but it's also a way to home ownership. It's a path to home ownership, assuming you comply with the requirements. And so that's one of the things that we will explain in detail to you today, that these are the things you have to do in order to not only qualify, but at the end of the 10-year rental period on the 11th year, when you want to convert to home ownership and take out that loan, which will be significantly lower than if you were to do it the other way, they'll explain that. And then at the, after the orientation, and you also have an opportunity to ask questions. So, I implore you to really become familiar with the process, but more importantly, the opportunity it presents to you, especially for those of you that are maybe not as high income. And I suspect that a lot of you would, kind of have difficulty, especially we're finding is a situation with a lot of people on our wait list. So that's why we've also pivoted, and Kalani will explain the 4 different categories that we're now using on our single family projects. This one is a little bit different. This is unique. It's something different, but it is a way and it's a path to home ownership. The last thing I'd like to talk about is we're going to be issuing what we call project leases, homestead leases. That's a little bit different in that, typically we build a house, person closes on the financing, then they get issued a lease. Well, the problem with that is sometimes these developments take a long time, or a lot longer than maybe the time that this particular individual has. And historically, that long time has resulted in many of our beneficiaries passing away and not having that opportunity. So one way to mitigate that is to issue what we call a project lease up front, whereby you receive a paper lease, which now allows you to not only retain ownership of your place on the line, but more importantly, have a place relative to a specific project. You become and you have a vested interest in that project. But more importantly, should you pass away before the thing is built, or before, or after being in the project for so many years, with this project lease, even though you're a renter, because we've separated the land where you get a homestead lease from the vertical construction, which is a financing approach that creates opportunities for the lower income individuals. But by doing that, no matter what, you can now transfer and name your successor now. And the advantage to that, again, is that with the successors that you're now dealing as a lessee, that successor can be as low as 25% Hawaiian versus you being on a wait list where there's a requirement that you have to be 50% Hawaiian in order to transfer by death your rights to that standing on the waiting list. That's different now. We've eliminated that. We're making and using an approach that allows the avoidance of that very, to me, unfortunate situation. And we've had too many of that. We've had too many people dying and waiting. And so we're changing that. And then Kalani would talk to, again, quite a bit about the different projects we have all over the state, but also on this island. Now, for those of you that may not get an award, we are doing, and we've acquired new lands in Lehui. We're looking to do close to 1,100 new homesteads. That's an opportunity there. For those of you that might be interested in doing a subsistence ag lot, we're going to be doing a lot of development in Wailua, in very key locations that makes it very, I guess, exciting and more, I guess, appropriate, where it's a good location, has water, you can put a house on it, and then, or not, and you have an opportunity with this bigger lot to not only raise food for your family, but raise livestock. So some exciting things happening with the program. So stay tuned, and I wish you all luck, and pupukai holomua. Aloha.
Mahalo, Chair. Next slide, please. Thank you. So as Chair mentioned, there has been 10,000 leases have been issued out. When you calculate that, that's equivalent to about 100 leases per year. In this next couple of years, as of December 2026, the goal is to issue out 7,000 leases. So this is a very huge movement throughout the Pai'aina, throughout the state, that we are doing and working on 28 different projects. As you see, there's a lot, 29 plus applicants, 29,000 plus applicants. And each year there's roughly about 600 that gets qualified, new beneficiaries. So it continues to add. I'd like to say that I think I'm 29,001 because I just put my name on the applications. But it's, I'm excited. It's a great time. We have so much number of different agencies, a number of different partners that are coming together. We realize that we can't do it on our own. It really takes a village. It takes a lot of partners coming together to make this happen. Next slide, please. This is just a picture of showing the 28 projects throughout the state and trying to build out roughly about 7,000 units. Next slide, please. As Chair had mentioned, there is a new approach. He mentioned there's options and choices. And that's really what the department is moving towards, is providing our beneficiaries options and choices. And so project leases are very key, both for the beneficiary as well as for the developers. And so when you get a project lease, it really requires not only the beneficiary to work along or us to partner up with a service provider such as Hawaii Community Assets, which is in the far back right corner. If you have any questions, you can go and see them. They will work with us and work with you to go through and talk about what is your financial assessment? What is it that you can afford? And if there's any things that you need to work on, they will walk through with you. I know there's times where me as a Kane, sometimes I get embarrassed and I need help, but I don't say nothing. And it's like, it's okay, I'm scared, I'm embarrassed. But sometimes you got to ask for help. And Hawaii Community Assets is willing. They're right there. They want to help you go through the financial literacy. How do you prepare to get our beneficiaries into a house, regardless of where you're at? Even though you got to do some credit repair, let's get you into a house. How does that happen? So don't be scared. Go just try. And so what happens with all of that is now, once we get the assessments, the developer, as Chair had mentioned earlier, we're not building and then you got to try pre-qualify to get in the house that was built. We are building based upon what you can qualify for. Doesn't that sound good? Very different approach. And it addresses everybody on the wait list, just going down one by one. Next slide, please. The options is sometimes some people can afford a turnkey home. Sometimes you cannot. Maybe you get sweat equity and you can bring together people to participate in self-help housing and you qualify for it. I was just talking to a guy in the first session. He did self-help housing before with his mom's place or mother-in-law's place, and he tried for his own, but he just made a little bit too much. And so he went with the owner builder lots. But the owner builder lots, you got to come up with a construction loan, 20% down that's a lot of money. I was talking to an auntie in Nanakuli. She had to come up with $16,000 out of pocket. That is tough. But when you partner up with our partners, such as Hawaii Community Lending and Hawaii Community Assets, they will find these different programs called down payment assistance that can help you front that money or find and provide and help you so you can be able to accomplish that. Now, for some of those, you just cannot meet any of those and don't make enough, having difficult time, but you qualify for the rent with option to purchase. The great thing about this, as Chair mentioned, that separation of the vertical, meaning the house, and the land, is that you will have a project lease. So you'll have an undivided interest lease. Michelle will go into detail about that later. You'll hear it also from the development team on what that means. But now you can be able to get into a place that and be able to live there, be able to pass it on to your successor. And you'll also hear from the development team also for this project that some of you guys just want to be able to pass it on to your successor, like now. So there's different things and programs that they will work with you on. That's the great thing about where we're at now. It's about options and choices. Now going into project leases, we have, as Chair had mentioned, a couple of projects that we are working on, Lihue and Hanapepe. For both of those, we have project leases that are going to be coming out for Lihue. If you could go to the next slide. Next year, we have roughly about 1,100 project leases that we'll be working on in Lihue. This area is right above Eisenberg Park. It's an area that is owned by, or I want to say soon to be owned by DHHL, but it's owned by Grove Farm. And so we're in the process of closing that deal. And 1,100 project leases that we will be working on and issuing out next year. This is so important for us to move forward and be able to not identify beneficiaries to our projects, but also have the developers to really hone in and build based upon what you can afford. Next slide, please. We also have Hanapepe. Some of you guys had come to the meeting a couple of weeks ago. Was it a month ago? It was some time ago. And it was just recently in Waimea, and we talked about the 30 lots that are being built. It's coming up next year. And so we're going to go back and award those earlier part of next year. And then we also have the 52 lots turnkey development in Hanapepe. Next slide. With that, I'm going to introduce Craig, as well as Christian, and then Richard. They're going to come and share a little bit about, not a little, a lot about this particular project, Waipouli.
Thank you, and aloha, everybody. My name is Richard Medeiros. I am the Nahaza Program Specialist with the Department of Hawaiian Home Lands. And with me, I have Craig Watasi from Mark Development and Christian O'Connell from Kalanian Ole Development. So today we are presenting to you Aina Ho'opula Pula o Waipouli, a home that grows and multiplies in Waipouli. This is your pathway to home ownership right here in Waipouli. And this is an unprecedented rent with option to purchase in Waipouli. This is a great affordable housing option. It's going to give you the option also to do some financial preparation over the course of time, and it'll allow you to do some generational wealth building. So Craig and Christian are going to go over what that process is going to be. It's going to give you a lot of time to build this and to help you guys. So this is also keeping in line with the legacy of Prince Kuhio. It's going to be helping your families keep in line with what he's trying to do with putting us back on the land, as well as fulfilling the promise of the Hawaiian Homes Act over a century ago. So with all of that, Christian and Craig, here you go.
Thank you, everybody. We're so grateful to be here with everyone. It's really a blessing to be able to present this project after a lot of effort and hard work with the development team and with the folks at DHHL. So, I wanted to start just by thanking Chairman Watson and the team at DHHL, Kalani and his team for their leadership. A lot of the things that this project accomplished had not been accomplished before. You can see it when we talk about it. It's the range of subsidized opportunities from 120% of area median income all the way to 30%. That's a novel new thing. And so it's using subsidies, but using them in a different way. Before, it would take 15 years, and then in that 16th year, one could become an owner. Now we've shortened it to 11 years, and we'll kind of go through that. So just really, every step of the way, we've been pushing to innovate, to create new products, to figure out, because things are so expensive, how do we not pass anyone over on the wait list? How do we make sure that anybody coming in order on their wait list gets an opportunity, that they've been waiting 50 years and it doesn't pass them by? So all of that effort is gone into trying to accomplish some of that. And then lastly, Cully has kind of drilled this into us as we're working on this stuff, but we really do have so many different opportunities that Kalani talked about. There's so many different opportunities, but the challenge that we have is that there's all these opportunities, but our population has a lot of constraints with income, socioeconomic status. And so we're really looking at finding tools and creating tools so that everyone has access. And while Waipouli is a very unique tool in the toolkit, it is very specialized and it's available to those that truly want it. And that's what it's for. It's not everything for everyone. It's very special. Okay, with that. All right, so just overview. You've heard it a couple times before, but very quickly, 82 units, years till you can actually own it, 11. It'll be 100% beneficiaries. The property manager is a Native Hawaiian, 25%. And so even the property manager, who actually went through some hardships and her father wasn't able to get on the wait list and select his unit, I mean, that's who's managing the property. So it really is Hawaiian all the way through. Next slide. You want to take this?
Sure. Christian needs a breather. So generally, most of you are probably familiar with this property. It's 5.8 acres, 82, 3, 2, and 1 bedroom mix of apartments. It's a block from the not even a block from the beach, so.
And it's really special. This was actually Lunalilo Trust land before all that land was sold. And so this is really a rare opportunity where Hawaiian land from a Hawaiian trust is now coming back into Hawaiian hands to be lived on by Hawaiians. So there's a specialness to the land because of its history that's quite unique. And something that really a lot of people don't know. So there's this longer, deeper connection to the land that the Hawaiian community has. Next slide.
Okay, and so there's 21 bedroom units, 42 2 bedrooms, and 23 bedroom units. And they're very spacious, good sizes. And these are the approximate rent ranges, because there's a mix of income targets that we're hitting, and that's why the rents will range and vary in different ways. But so between 30% area median income, when you see AMI, that's what we're talking about, area median income, and the rents will vary according to what income bracket you're in.
And that's why you see this odd thing, right? Everybody's looking and saying 3 bedrooms at $1,035. That's because they've been programmed for families. Like, let's say it's a mom, she's a learning disabled teacher at the elementary school. She's got 4 keiki or 5 keiki. She's making $47,000 a year. I mean, that would be the perfect unit for that family. It's just that kind of thinking, that kind of idea. Okay, next slide. I mean, again, this is just kind of a reiteration of the same slide before. Again, just here are the target ranges, here are the monthly ranges. Here's a look at the units. Go back one. Oh, it's okay. You're good. All good. This is just some imagery. This is the layout of the 1 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, just spacious. Next slide. Community amenities. So it's not just historical land that's coming back. It's not just adjacent to the ocean. It actually has a concrete sidewalk that runs all the way to the beach. I mean, I live on Oahu, and I can't recall anything that has a concrete sidewalk that goes to the beach unless you're in Waikiki. It's so unheard of. So even if you're kapuna, and even if you're older and you're in a wheelchair or whatnot, you have access to the beach, which is incredible.
Okay, like Christian said earlier, this is very specific, trying to solve the issues for certain demographics that have been passed over in the past, so we're not everything to everybody, but we think there's a lot of people who are going to like this product. Okay, so and we're hoping to, under this plan, we hope a lot of people, 82 families, will get leases and have something to pass on, and we think we're doing our best to fulfill Cohio's mission and dream, right?
Yeah. And that's okay. And feeling that way is all right. And that's all right. Everything's good. So talking about the features of the property. So we want to let everybody know that we're going to come up with our team, our local team here at DHHL. We're going to offer tours of the property. So people are going to be able to come and visit it before you make your decision, right? So the decision will happen in January 9th. So we have all this time to tour the property, visit the property, see what it's allowed, kind of kick the tires on it. It's real estate. So what we're going to offer, and we'll communicate that via web and email blasts, is we'll offer like an evening, night, daytime Saturday, and then like a time right after church on Sunday. So there's just different spots for people to come, and then we'll have tours and we'll walk everybody through so that you can make your own decision if you want to do that. But we think it's beautiful. We're very excited about it, and it has all these great amenities. So it's walk-up style, no elevators. It was originally built in 2009. So to us in our business, it's brand new. I mean, it really is brand new. But even with it being brand new, we're going to spend millions and millions of dollars updating everything, new paint, updating the cabinetry, anything, trying to make it fresh and beautiful for everyone. Then also, as the community is coming into the space, we're not going to spend all the construction money. Nope. We're going to wait. We're going to get everybody in, hopefully within the first 12 to 18 months. Then the community is going to come together and make some decisions about some of the extra stuff we're going to do. What do we want the signage to look like? How do we want, the art to be on each of the buildings? So all those decisions are going to be selected by the community that has arrived, so that they get to author it and have their own say as a community in what happens with the finishing touches. So it's exciting, right? Do we want community gardens? We'll make them if that's what we want. Do we want something else? Do we need like a mini halal to hang out and grill and cook out?
Jacuzzi.
No jacuzzi. No. I could just see the complaints. All right. So then it has community laundry facility, but most of the units have washer and dryer inside. It's got a stackable washer and dryer, so you got already. Then, we're going to have we already have outdoor seating and barbecue. We're going to upgrade that a little bit because all Hawaiians love to hang out, eat good food, and play with the kids. So we're going to make it enhance that. And then we've got plenty parking, and we've got a really nice leasing community office for everybody. So in addition to all that, what's not up here is Craig is Mr. PV, Mr. Battery Pack. He loves to never pay for gas. That's his thing. So we really do have a beautiful package of photovoltaic battery packs that will run with the asset. So after the building's completed, after we own it, you're going to have PV and battery packs that help all the units. So it's exciting. I mean, that's like modern, like top notch. Next slide. Okay. So how we get there is there's really just, for the beneficiary that's dealing with this, there's only 3 documents that are critical. There's 3 main documents. There's the DHHL undivided interest lease. So this lease is attached to the land. So if you choose this and you get selected and you make your selection, automatic, you get the DHHL undivided interest lease. And that is not predicated on your income or anything like that. You're going to get them. Now, when we come to the rental agreement, the DHHL undivided interest lease is tied to the rental agreement. Now, the rental agreement can be your rental agreement as the undivided interest lessee, or it could be your Keiki's rental agreement as the undivided lessee. It could be either way. But if it is a successor to you, and let's say the income ranges are 120% of median income or 80% or whatnot, that successor has to qualify in those ranges if you don't qualify. So that's a real important distinction. So we got to make sure we're doing it for the folks that need it based on their status right now, right? Whether it's you or your successor. And so then you get the rental agreement, you do what the rental agreement says, and it's really kind of simple, and Craig will take us through that in the next slide, but it's simple stuff. You live by the rental agreement, you do you just live a good normal life with good values. It shouldn't be a problem. And then you always have this purchase option. 1, 2, and 3 are kind of tied together. So you got to make sure you follow 2 for 1 and 3 to continue to be good. And then 3 is the purchase option agreement, which is just the right, as long as you've done what you said you were going to do, it's your right to purchase the property at the time you can purchase it. It's your right. So once all these are executed, you really become in control of your own destiny. It's now that we've got this done, you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to own it. That's just how the documents are set up to work. Okay, next slide. So this is just something important. It's disclosure, and we're all going to do it the right way anyways, but they link together. So you invalidate one, you invalidate the others. And really that's about the rental agreement. So you got to pay your rent on time, be a good neighbor, don't, do any criminal activity. He had a story that we're not going to share this time around. And so as long as you do that, everything else happens. But they're just connected, so you got to be aware of that. Okay, next. You want this or me?
You got it. You're doing good.
Okay, all right. Woo! Let's go. Okay, so there's 2 phases to the process. It's pretty simple. Phase 1, you have to rent, and you got to do what you're supposed to do, pay it on time. Everybody is paying the rent. And so it's driving down the remaining balance of debt. So we actually already kind of really know what you're going to purchase this unit at already. As long as everything continues to go the way it's supposed to go, even if it really doesn't completely, we pretty much know what that purchase price is at the end already. So you already know your purchase price doesn't change. It's guaranteed. And then second, so we go through that 11 years, where you buy the unit on the 30 days, 60 days after year 10 expires, right at the beginning of year 11, you move in, you own your unit. Then you're in the purchase phase. You have it. You go get one bank loan. You have the improvements. Now you own this condominium unit. You have to pay your HOA fees as part of your loan mortgage. And when you get there, your mortgage will be less than what you were paying in rent by the time you get there. I mean, that's the power of this mathematics I'll share with you. It's amazing. Next slide. You got this.
Okay. The rental period. So these are complicated things that we had to do to make this happen. Hawaiian Homes gave us a lot of resources to work with the lawyers and stuff, but we basically condominiumized. If you're familiar with condos, it's a form of ownership. We created a vertical. The land is one condominium unit, which has allowed us to give you undivided interest leases, and then the vertical portion is a separate condominium unit, and we call that a spatial unit. And we will get to. Eventually, we'll divide every unit into its own condominium, and that's what you will get to buy.
So your undivided interest piece of land, right, will be linked to the spatial unit in the improvement. So now you've got the land and the condo together at the end.
This is kind of new stuff under the condo law too. So it's kind of cutting edge concepts that we did here.
But basically, the whole idea is that you have a piece of the land, and eventually you have a piece of the building and the land, and together that's what forms your ownership.
Yeah. So in year 11, you'll get a regular Hawaiian Home Lands land lease for your interest, your
Unit.
fractionalized interest in the land, which is how normal condominiums work on leasehold land. And then you'll have a condo ownership of the apartment building.
And the real only difference between land ownership in this is you won't have to cut the grass, So what happens is you'll have an association, and you'll have meetings once a month with your property management team, and they'll say, okay, landscaping is this is the budget, so on. And then boom, you've got it taken care of. Somebody's taking care of for you. So that's kind of a good part about condominium ownership. Next slide. So this is your kind of year roadmap. So year 0 up to, we start moving in May. So starting hopefully in May of 2026, and then every 60 days after, 8 units becomes available. And the reason why it's structured this way and it's a little bit slow is because, there's a great and tremendous desire by DHHL and by all of us is to take care of the residents that are there. There's a transition coming. We have existing residents. We have to relocate them. But we're trying to do it in the most Pono way possible. and take our time. So we've allowed for up to 24 months to go slow, make sure everybody has one place, everybody's taken care of. And so that's been really important to DHHL and to the state and to everyone and to us. We don't want to have anybody displaced, but they will be taken care of. And that's really important. DHHL is doing it the best way you could ever do this process of transition. And so we're going through that process. And as we transition folks out, we update all the units, and then beneficiaries move into brand new updated units. And so every unit has air conditioning. Every unit will eventually have the PV. Everything will be updated. There will be certain units that are highly disabled qualified, so braille, blind, deaf. Like we'll have the bathroom shower come down so you can just wheel yourself in. Like, so there'll be units really specialized for that. And then every other unit will just be accessible. So even if you have that kind of life change while you have the unit, they'll be prepared for that. So once we get everybody in, that'll take about 12 to 14 months, hopefully, if we go pretty fast. Then we'll have the community come together. We'll talk about some of the last pieces that we want to design, and we'll go execute on that for everybody. And then we're in the foundation phase. This is like looking at your financial health right now, analyzing where you're at. Just sometimes it's really hard to discuss your finances. And this is the time to just be vulnerable, kind of open up to us, let us understand so we can take the next 9 to 10 years and work with you and get you there. Because it takes a while sometimes to repair your credit and history. So once we get that foundation set with Hawaii Community Lending and Hawaii Community Assets, then we're looking for the acceleration phase. How are we going to increase our savings? How can we work with you? Now we got you in this rent's capped. We know where things are. How do we help you with your budgeting? Maybe we can, and the beauty of our project is once you sign up, you can grow your income the whole time. It's not like you got to stay broke for 10 years to get your unit. No. You can grow your income. It's been worked on with all these amazing attorneys. So we don't, like in project housing, you can't grow your income, you lose your house. Like, what kind of thinking is that? No, we've set it up so everybody can grow their income. Once they're in, you can grow your income and you still get the unit. That's a very important. And so then the final preparation, that's kind of 8 to 10 years out. Don't get new credit cards. Don't get a new car. Just take it easy. Just hold your horses because you're about to get your house, right? Your condo. And then finally, year 11, we really want everybody moving in within those 30 to 60 days of that year 11. So it's really year 10 ends. Within 60 days, we'd love the whole community fully purchase their units in Powell. All right. Next slide. This is just kind of repetition, same thing. Next slide.
Okay, so this slide shows the rent structure, and again, AMI stands for area median income, and it's based on your family size too. So there's a HUD chart.
No, bless you.
Yeah, there's a HUD chart that'll say, a family of 4 is at 30% makes this much. A family of 3 at 30% makes this much, or 80%. So it's a different number depending upon your family size. My staff at Mark Development, we do that for many projects. Mark Development manages about 600, 700 apartments around Kauai. So you may be familiar with some of my people, but that's what we have to do for government assisted projects. We have to income qualify you. So we'll ask a lot of personal questions and then.
Hey, tell them about that Hanai tactic you used at one time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Would you? You got to tell them. You got to tell them. So it's like,
yeah, that's borderline. That's how we work it. So like we had one family once that was just made a little bit too much money to qualify for the program. And we said, oh, go Hanai one kid, because then you're allowed to have a higher income. And so they did that, and they added, and then they were able to qualify them and get them in. But we'll work with you to try and get you qualified.
And that's a legal thing to do. I want to know nothing illegal now. That's legal. All
okay,
right.
So we got a question over here. Yeah. Okay, so I think the question is, when you get older, your income gets fixed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That. Well, that's the one bedrooms, is the two bedrooms are you, right? No one. Yeah.
Well, I would just say, so there's kind of two different speeds in the project. There's the 120% of AMI to 80%. We'll call that the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation side, right? So that's kind of money coming from the state that's not coming from NAHASDA, which is Native Hawaiian Block Grant funds. All right, so if you're that, there's not a lot of assistance there. You know, you got to kind of keep earning, you know? However, on the NAHASDA side, especially if you went to like fixed income on Social Security, remember, this isn't an assets test, right? It's an income test. And so it's what are you making that year that you're applying, you're going to be in. And so the difference there is it's an income test. So if you're moving into like Social Security with a defined pension or those other states, especially with a 2-person, 3-person household, et cetera, I mean, there's a lot of flexibility there. And then NAHASDA will offer rental assistance to keep you steady Eddie the whole way. If you're 80%, 60%, 30%, NAHASDA is there to step in. And also the beauty of the project, and Richard can talk to it after because that's Richard's Juliana, and he's just been educating me so much on it. And then if something happens, that's the other thing about you're in here, something happens to your financial situation, you know, NAHASDA will help you. Right? As long as it's legitimate, it's the real deal, you know, and things happen. The beauty of the program is they'll be there to support us, right? On this DERF, it went up to 120% because at above 120 to 140, you lose the real estate property tax exemptions, the DET tax exemptions, and the permit and other fees. So we kept it where you get the most subsidy. There are 40% of the units don't have ACs in them and need to be modified. And so we're doing all those upgrades. A portion are recovered by grants, a portion are a normal loan, and a portion are a subsidized loan. So it's just different. There's different stacks of capital. And then on the PV system and stuff, before the Trump administration, that was going to be one grant. But because of the Trump administration, we lost the grant. No, we kept it. We just did some more gymnastics and figured it out. Okay, next slide. Thank you.
But that just gives you good questions, by the way, but it gives you an idea of where the rents will be, the ranges, and will fit you into, as your name comes up, will fit you into the best program.
All right, so what's included, right? Your rent's going to cover property taxes, building maintenance, common area upkeep, landscaping, refuse, like all of those things, management costs, and the DHHL lease rent. And then what we're paying separately. Now we have the PV system and all that stuff coming in, but there are some costs associated with electric, gas, water, sewer. You know, we don't do cable and internet. So all those things will be covered. You have to cover. Now on electricity and gas, now it will be subsidized, but what we've found in our other projects is if we don't charge people for electricity, they just turn on the AC and they leave it on and the whole community pays. And then we pay with mold and other things that develop when you don't take care of your energy usage and your AC. So we'll have a system that is installed that helps deal with that and reduce those costs dramatically. And then when you're in ownership, it's even more beneficial. So while you will pay your utilities, and you'll have to be cognizant of that, there's systems in place to reduce that cost. So it's brought down and doesn't, when there's an oil embargo, our prices don't jump. No, this building is steady Eddie. And then the last thing I did say, and it was accurate. So if you are in the DERF side, 80% to 120% of median income units, you have to provide a recertification of your income. Everybody does in the building, but it's not consequential. It's just notifying us how you're doing. On the NAHASDA units, if you're getting rental assistance, like you're getting some help, well, with that program, you do need to constantly indicate annually, hey, I'm still in the same situation. I didn't get that new job, so I still need the help. So there's just two speeds in the building, one with a lot of assistance, and you got to do a recertification annually. It's required and necessary. The other, it's still required, but it really doesn't have an impact. It's just annual reporting for Hawaii Community Assets and Hawaii Community Lending to just make sure we're tracking how you're doing and that you're getting ready to be able to own it. Next slide. Okay, this is your favorite.
Okay, yeah. So Mark Development is the co-developer and we're also the property managers. So when, you know, we want you to know that while you will have a undivided interest lease, you're still a renter on the vertical portion until year 10 or 11, right? Which means that, you know, you got to pay your rent, and I'm going to be like a typical landlord. If you don't pay your rent, you know, it could lead to an eviction. We want you to follow the house rules. We want you to be good neighbors, and then everything will go swimmingly. But if for some reason somebody in the community doesn't want to follow rules, doesn't want to pay their rent, you could be evicted. Okay, so we just need you to understand that up front. You know, but you still do have that undivided interest lease. But if you get evicted, you could lose your undivided interest lease. And that's a contested case hearing process that you go through with DHHL. All right, but we want you to know up front that's how this operates. You are a renter until year 10 or 11 when you exercise your purchase option, and then I go away. Okay. So, question, sir. Yeah, inside the rent is I have budgeted to take care of maintenance of the common areas. That's correct.
And then our
So-
estimate right.
And after I as the landlord disappear and you are all owners of the condominium, you'll have a association of homeowners that will then have the responsibility to maintain the common area. So the AOAO, or as they call it, Association of Apartment Owners, they will have a budget and pay for staff to, you know, or vendors to do the yard work, paint the outside of the buildings or things like that. My third dot. Maintain owner occupancy. Oh, okay, that's a good question. Yeah.
It says counseling, home ownership counseling.
No, you can own other real estate. But you need to live in there. This has to be your primary residence. Yeah. So if you have a vacation rental or a you know,
Another house.
an investment property, that's fine. But you need to live here. Yeah, you cannot be renting this, subleasing this out to somebody else. Back here. Okay, the question was, what are the current association dues for this property?
There are none.
Yeah,
right now.
there's no association dues right now, but after the condominium is formed and you all become owners of the condominium, there will be an association formed. It's going to look like the same as the budget that we have now.
Yeah, in today's dollars, it's between 51 cents and 62 cents, basically, is where we're at in today's dollars. So that'll grow over time, but that's pretty good for a project with this level of. It doesn't have as much amenities, so you don't have elevators, pools, all those things like in Oahu where you have those big decks and all the parking lots and all that. So those can be over
These are
$1.
good questions. You know,
Yeah.
if you're not unfamiliar with homeownership associations or condo associations, there's a lot of laws that actually govern it. You know, the association will have board of directors from the ownership group, and you'll have to put together a budget. You'll have to do a capital needs a study, which says that, okay, the roof needs to be replaced in 10 years, and it's going to cost this much. So every year you need to set aside X amount of dollars so that there's no special assessments being done and things like that. So
But Craig and I will set all that up.
we will set that up and help
Yeah.
transition in your ownership. Yes, sir. Mhm.
That's not true.
We're going to set it up. Yeah.
There's going to be reserve funds.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very good points.
Yeah, I think those, and it's great actually that you're making that point because a lot of houses fall apart around people because they don't have the money and they can't invest in those things. And so
Yeah.
in my experience, I've seen a lot of houses falling down and so this is a way that that will never happen because the community makes everyone accountable together to maintain the assets.
Yeah, those are good points about the differences between maybe individual home ownership versus condominium ownership, right? You're gonna, as a board of directors, they're gonna say, okay, the roof needs to be re-roofed, for example, and we've been saving money. We have a capital reserve account, time to spend it, and somebody will say, well, my cousin can help put the roof on, and you're like, he can bid on the job too, but typically it'll go out to bid and a competitive bid and the work will get done that way. So with everything common area, which is the exterior of the buildings and the walkways and the plants and things like that, those are part of the maintenance budget that, as a homeowner, you might have been able to do it yourself, but in a condo association, you typically are hiring people or contractors to do that. So, okay, I'm going to go here first. Okay, come back to you. Yes. The question is, do the home ownership association fees start at year 1 or year 11? So as the landlord collecting the rents, in the rents, I pull money out to pay for all the maintenance that's being done. All right. If a water pipe breaks, we hire the plumber and we take that out of our reserve accounts and stuff. When you guys become the condo owners, will help you create the homeownership association, and they will have the responsibility. And we will try and financially set it up so they have the planned reserves that they need to do the capital improvements, that we schedule 5, 10, 15, 20 years out. So when I did Ho'oliba Lima in Kapolei, which was the first rent with an option to purchase, right before we turned over the homes, we repainted them, we re-roofed them. I put in a new carpet, all the big things so that when, even though it was 15 years old, people were able to, but we told them, we said, hey, you got a plan on, re-roofing, replacing the water heater, things like that, so we tried to do homeownership education. This is actually better, right? The association will have it set up, will help create the board and get everybody going on the right way. And we financially plan, because what you say is true. There's a lot of developers that have built new condominium buildings, and they didn't put the money into the reserve accounts, like you say. And all of a sudden, 15 years later, they're like, oh, we got to modernize the elevators. Oh, we have to replace the water heater, and then they're like, there's no money for it, and they have special assessments then. And they actually created laws because that was happening so often. Okay, but that's not this. This is a different mission that we're doing, right? And we're trying to do things the right way here, under the direction of Chair Watson. So, yes, sir. That's correct. For the first 10 years, it's all those fees are inside our property management business. So I have staff that are doing it. And then, if we don't keep up, we hire outside landscapers or whatever, tree trimmers. Yeah. We have reserve accounts, even in property management, we do the same thing essentially that a homeowner association would do. We're planning on, hey, I'm going to have to do painting or re-roofing or whatever. So we try and we do what's called capital needs assessment. And from that, we try and budget. So every month we'll put a couple $1,000s into this reserve account to build it up so that when we spend it, it's there. That's correct. There's no additional fees other than the rent. Good point. Yeah. Everything that we're trying to do to operate the property is inside the rent.
Because the AMI range is lower on the 3-bedroom, it's set at 30%. So you see a range of $1,035 to $3,495 for 3 bedrooms. That's 30% MAMI to 120% MAMI. Whereas all the other ranges of apartments are not 30%, so you don't see the low rent. We're here to provide housing. I don't think that's not our Kuleana. It's not a Kuleana. Yes, it is. No doubt about it. Absolutely.
When you rent out your house, be sure you include that in the rent.
Just going back to this. So
I'm happy for you. You own a home.
yeah. So it is an unprecedented financial opportunity. Now, this is based on a fee simple value because those are the comparables that we have access to. Now, if you're just trying to true this up for leasehold, now you don't have a leasehold rent, so the impact of leasehold isn't as dramatic as if you were actually paying rent like you paid leasehold rent to KS. But let's say it is an impact. It's probably 6% of value to 15% of total value is the component of land in this project. So just note that. So these values knock off 15% and you're conservatively there. And that just came up from some of the chats, so I just wanted to be clear. So look, when you look at the growth rate of real estate pricing, residential real estate pricing, not just in this neighborhood, but just in this island over the last 10, 20, 30 years, the average growth rate per annum is 8.2%. That's what it grows at. Now, some years it's down, like after the Great Recession, it was down. Some years it's up by 20 to 30%. But the average appreciation over 20 to 30 years is 8.2%. And so that means if we just project that out over this next decade, it compounds, right? So it's 8%, creates a higher value, then times that higher value by 8% and just keeps going. So your price appreciation is actually more than 80% over 10 years. It's 138% because that's that magic of compounding happening to the value of your real estate. So it's really neat because that's something we can offer. You're paying it down, you're paying your note down, but the value is just going up. And so you're just creating this spread of value into your family, into your household. And that's the math of this process. That's that accordion of stretching out that purchase price for 10 years, 15 years, allows this to happen over time. That's the beauty of this process. All right. So then your price is locked from day one. We know what that's going to be. We're going to pay it down for 10 years. We know what our payments are. We know it's all set up. We know what you're going to end up at. We already know. So that means we've looked at it on a fee simple valuation. It's between $1 million and $1.5 million because today the unit, a 3-bedroom unit, is worth $900,000 in this market. Tomorrow, 10-year tomorrow, it's going to be worth $1.8 million or more. But your price to buy that unit is like $400,000 as a Nahaza unit, maybe a little more, like $550,000. So you've got all that room over those years. And by the way, your income didn't go down. You kept making a little bit of money. Even if you were on Social Security, you got 2.5% per year. So that's the magic. That's the magic. Next slide. This is just a graph showing that. Next slide. And this is kind of another graphical interface, again, just kind of showing you the price. These are average prices, 3 bedrooms higher, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom. It's average, but this is the difference. And so the difference too is you'll notice that Nahaza units are heavily subsidized, and that's showing the 80% to 30% range. So obviously it's cheaper. And then of course that other range is 80% to 120%. So it's just more expensive because that's what you make. But again, versus what the market could be on average, 1.6 million if you didn't do it and you waited this whole time and then wanted to buy it. You'd have to save up all that money and you have to have a 20% down payment on 1.6 million in 11 years. I'd take this bet over me doing that for myself. Yeah. Next slide. Next slide.
In 1985, the median price of a single family home in Honolulu was $150,000. Today, the median price is, I think, $1.3 million, right? Don't we all wish that in 1985 we bought a piece of property, right? Because I mean, that's what we're trying to show you here. You know, if you're a lower income, you cannot even afford a mortgage right now, but 10 years from now, we'll get you there and you're going to realize the equity instantly like that. Okay, so this is a great wealth building, which is what Prince Kohil wanted for Hawaiians. Okay, we're just trying to figure out a different way to get the people who couldn't get mortgages on the regular market. We're going to help you get there.
And the other thing that the DHHL has us working on is getting access to that equity. So one of the things that we haven't perfected yet is getting access to it. So we create this math and we create this value. Well, how do we use it to finance our Keiki's education in the best college in the United States, right? How do we do that, or the world? And so we're still working on that as development community, trying to figure that out with the team at DHHL. But we're creating the space for that wealth accumulation. And now we got to, once we do that, then we got to create access to it and using it, right, to help enhance your value and your family's value. Okay, so just real quick, step one, you received a notice, you showed up. And then you make a selection, and so we'll make those selections February 28th. So January, provide your eligibility notice. If you're selected based on that order, selections will happen February 28th, I believe, and Michelle can confirm, and the website will confirm the process, and you're about to do your purchasing, you've waited your 10 years, then we start to go through the process. You got to get your mortgage pre-qual, you got to exercise your option, complete your loan process, and close. And Mark Development's team is there to help you through that, along with Hawaii Community Lending and Hawaii Community Assets.
You're already going to have your keys.
Yeah, my bad. I got to change that. Yeah, oops. It's a new set. We'll get a new set, right?
New keys, yeah.
New keys. Yeah.
Ceremonial keys.
Yeah. Next slide. So critical deadlines for this stuff is 365 days to exercise your option, 90-day notice to close, and then you get your new ceremonial keys. And then closing costs are between 15 to 30,000, and we will work to make sure that you have that ready to go. Next slide. Okay, so this is some disclosures. So if you fall into the DERF bucket, not the NAHASDA bucket, the Dwelling Unit Revolving Fund is the acronym DERF. It's kind of like NERF. There's a buyback, but you're already going to be in the unit for 10 years or about there, so there's no buyback concern. So they have a buyback provision. If you got their assistance, then they would want you to give them some money back if you sold it before you run out the 10 years. But we don't really have that issue in this project, so it's not that applicable. Then there's a shared appreciation, which they created to kind of get back some of their funding in some of these projects. Now, it doesn't apply well to the DHHL circumstance. So HHFTC, along with DHHL, are working with the legislatures to modify that so that it's not harmful at all. And so we're working through that right now. Dean Murakami at HHFTC, they all want this to happen. Their AG's office is working with DHHL's AG's office, and they're cleaning that up. But we just need to disclose it. We can kind of take you through it so you understand it. But it shall not be a problem in the future.
But we got to disclose it right now because that's what it is right now. Yeah.
So just remember, owner occupancy will be mandatory. It can be your successor. So then any kind of changes or anything, we'll still need to get both DHHL and HHFTC's approval on those DERF units. And then you just got to do those annual certifications. Next slide. We went through this. Next slide. So it's more than just a house, right? You're getting quality housing. It's immediate, right? We can move people in May. A lot of times he's working on Hanapepe. I'm working on some stuff on the Big Island. I'm 2 years, 3 years out on most stuff unless the lots are already built. That's just how it is. It takes that long. If you want something immediately, you will need to pass it on to your successor. This is it. I mean, this is it. So it's immediate. You've got a wealth creation potential with the mathematics we discussed, the kind of the ideas we have, we know all about inflation right now, don't we? So inflation versus paying down your loan. And then you're going to have all this help. You get a decade worth of financial preparation, getting comfortable with that if you're not comfortable with that, and getting better at it. It's like going to the gym. Money's like working out is like going to the gym. And then you got this purchase option and you got your successor rate. So it really is something unique that DHHO and Kali have been working on for a long time, and this is kind of the culmination of it all coming together. And then I don't think you got to be that patient dealing with him, but maybe you do. And then, but you got to do everything the right way, be responsible, have your kuleana, and then make this commitment. If you do all those things, then it's going to happen, you know? Next slide. And the numbers don't lie. Again, numbers are based on fee simple, discounted by 10 to 15%. But it's a pretty amazing thing. And just note, it does say 82 units here. The manager is in a unit, Adalyn, who I talked about, who's 25% Native Hawaiian. But at the end of the project, that unit will become available for purchase as well. We do have to have an on-site manager throughout the process as part of our commitments to lenders and just the right way to run a property. But when it becomes a condominium property, that unit will be in Native Hawaiian hands. All right? And that's all I've got.
One more question. Wait, hold your applause. The question was, are you allowed to have pets? And generally, in most of the properties that we manage, it's no pets. But this is Hawaiian Home Lands. Pets are like family as far as I can concerned. And so because these are going to become your units eventually, if you want to let your pet pee all over the place, nah, but so my inclination right now is to allow pets because you're all going to go to your doctors and say that it's a comfort animal or something, or, I need a seeing eye dog or whatever. So I'm done fighting with that. We will, as your landlord, we do annual inspections and make sure you're keeping the place neat, and if your pets are causing damage, then we'll call you out on that. But my first inclination is to tell you I want to allow pets. Yeah.
Because it's a year. If your mortgage is paid before they take the land back.
Okay, the question is, Hawaiian Home Lands, you get a 99-year lease, right? And it's renewable for another 100 years at $1 a year. And if you pay your mortgage off, you're afraid they're going to take the land back? No, it's still your lease. It's your lease. It's your property. In fact, if you pay your mortgage off, then you own the... Yes, you have a 99-year lease. No. It's $1 a year. Yeah, $1 a year.
Yes.
The lease or the house? Yeah, if you pay off your house, you can. Yeah. Good question. Okay. Married to a Haole girl, what happens if I die? And I've had that situation happen to me in other situations. And she, I don't know if I want to let somebody from Homestead.
So we're actually coming on that right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're doing that. That's you see, good segue. Now you can applause. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
If we can go to the
I'm
next
gonna be
slide.
sticking around to answer questions after. So, feel free to come up to me. We want to get through the rest of the program.
So we have Erna that's going to come and share about successor and transfer. While Erna is coming up, one of the things that you heard from Craig and from Christian is that they will work with you to figure out how you get in there. They will work with you through the 10-year period on how to buy the property. So don't be afraid to ask them questions. They will work with you and help you out. There's also another question about, for those of you who are retired, if you're retired, Kaui from Hawaiian Council is going to come up and she's going to share a little bit more about kupuna rental subsidies. But with that, Erna from our Kauai district office will share about successorships and transfers.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. We're so excited to do this project. So the first thing I'm going to explain to you is about successorship to application rights. Right now, everyone in here, you're all applicants on the wait list. It's going to take a little while for this project, even though it's fast, to it's going to take a little while for this project, even though it's fast, to come about where you would convert to a lessee. So in the meantime, we're encouraging you to be sure that if you have someone qualified, to put a successorship to your application rights. This means that if something should happen, you're saying to the department, I want this individual to take my number on the wait list. So the requirement would be the same as applying. 50% Hawaiian, 18 years of age, and limited to husband or wife, child, grandchild, father or mother, widow or widowers of children, brother or sister, widow or widower of a brother or sister, or niece and nephew. And we want to encourage you to, before you leave today, stop in the back on the table where Rhonda and Jareen are sitting and work on that form if you haven't done it previously or if you want to make any changes. If an applicant dies without designating successorship, once every calendar year, the department publishes a notice listing deceased applicants who have passed without naming qualified successors. I should tell you, this is only when we know that they've passed away. So if nobody has brought a death certificate in for 10 years, that notice won't be published until we actually become aware that the individual passed away. Notices are published in the following newspapers, typically near the end of November each year: the Honolulu Star Advertiser, Maui News, the Garden Island, Hawaii Tribune Herald, and West Hawaii Today. A qualified successor to a decedent applicant's rights must submit his or her successorship claim to the department within 180 days of the last date of publication to submit a claim. So usually if the notice is published in November, sometime May of the next year would be the deadline. And if nobody puts in, then that application is removed from the wait list with no successor. So we would encourage you to be sure to put someone down so we don't even have to go through that process by doing public notices. So they just repeated it again, what I just had explained to all of you, what will happen if, an applicant passes away. Okay. So the next rule is lessees who die without designating a successor. So once you become a lessee, the rule changes, yeah? An eligible successor at 25% Hawaiian can be a husband, wife, children, grandchildren, or siblings. They don't have to be 18 years of age. Eligible successors at 50% Hawaiian could be father and mother, widows and widowers of children, widows and widowers of brothers and sisters, or nieces and nephews. So this is when you become a lessee. Now, if a lessee dies without designating a successor, the department shall publish a notice at least once in each of the 4 consecutive weeks in a newspaper of general circulation in the state of Hawaii, like Honolulu Star Advertiser, Maui News, the Garden Island newspaper, Hawaii Tribune Herald, West Hawaii Today. Qualified relatives who want to submit to the lease must submit a claim within 120 days of the first publication date. Typically, when we don't have a lease that has a successor, we do the publications twice a year, around June 30th and around December 31st. I think we already reviewed this. Okay. So some of the things to remember: successors to application rights and leases. The relative you designate as a successor is your decision. Discuss your choice of successor to your application rights or to your homestead lease with your ohana, so your intentions are made clear. Not having the discussion may cause family issues later. I want to also reiterate at this time, if I can, because you can come in and make changes. If you make changes, you should have that discussion with your family as well. Because sometimes when people pass away, people will come in with copies of the successorships that their parents gave them a copy of. We have to honor the recent one over all of the rest. Make an appointment with the nearest district office to file or a new or updated designation. As a homesteader, you are a property owner with certain rights and obligations. One of your rights is to decide in accordance with the law who you want to succeed to your homestead lease. The HHL will dispose of your leasehold in accordance with your choice, provided, of course, that the person or persons designated are qualified to succeed to the lease.
Thank you, Arno. So if you have more questions regarding successorships and transfers, you can visit the Kauai District Office table in the back left area. You know, it's very key to make sure that you continue to keep your information updated. Your contact information is so key. My father had passed away back in 2015. He's still on the list. We haven't turned in the death certificate. Finally turned it in, but my sister is the successor. She lives in Arizona, and her address that was on there was back about 20 years ago from McCully. So everything's going to McCully. Said, sis, you got to go change your contact address so you can be informed of what's happening. So she did. I'm going to ask Kaua from Hawaiian Council to come up. She's going to sing a song. No, I'm just kidding. I had to make her feel very ready for this. Now, she got some exciting things. I think question came up was, hey, what happens if I'm retired? I hit kupuna age, 62 over. Well, she got some exciting news. With that, Kaua.
Thanks, Kalani. Aloha, everyone. I'm Kaua. I am from Hawaiian Council. We're formerly known as Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement. You'll see us a lot. Kalamai, ooh, got you. Now I can really sing a song. Aloha mai kako, I'm Kaua. I'm from Hawaiian Council. We're formerly known as Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement. You see us kind of all over the place in the community. Really, our role here with the Department of Hawaiian Home Lands is to take care of kupuna. So there's a kupuna program where if you are 62 years old or older and you are currently on the wait list, the department will provide rental. What you're hearing today is that there's been a sense of evolution with the department, right? They're really invested in creating these avenues for everyone to be supported throughout this process and ready for when you folks receive that award letter or receive that lease. And so one of the ways is through this program. So 62 years old, currently on the wait list, rental subsidies would be provided. There are a couple of catches to this. As you've heard others say, there are income guidelines. So for this program, you will need to be at an 80% AMI or under that. It does go according to your household size. If you're not sure on what that is, come and see me in the back and we can talk story and figure all of that out. And then, so 30% of your household income will go to the rent, and then Hawaiian Council through the department, sorry, one more thing. And we can talk through that when you come up. Let's see, so some of the requirements. Yes, there's an annual inspection to ensure that the unit is up to HUD standards. I think you heard a little bit about that from Craig and from Craig earlier. And then there needs to be a signed landlord contract prior to inspection. What happens is we will work it out with the landlord directly, and the rental subsidies will go directly to them. So we just take care of everything on the back end for you folks. And then there's HUD counseling to be completed within 60 days of an approved application. And sometimes, it gets a little bit intimidating. Like I think I heard Kalani say earlier, you don't want to talk about these kinds of things, a little bit shame. No worry. The person who will come and do the HUD counseling with you is from our office, very ma'a and used to talking through these things with ohana of all walks of life. So if you've been through something, it is not new to us. We have seen a lot. And I think, yeah. So really that's it. So a couple things, 62 years old, current waitlister, rental subsidies, 80% AMI. Come and see me in the back and we can talk story. Mahalo.
Wow, that's some great news. I think I get 8 years more. I'm going to ask Michelle from our housing project branch to come over. She's going to share about what's coming up in the earlier part of next year, how to anticipate for next steps.
Good afternoon. So again, Michelle Hitzman, I'm the Housing Project Branch Manager. Our branch puts out the offer letters as well as issue the award. So again, I just first want to apologize. You all might have received 2 offer letters for Hana Pepe, and only within the last day or 2 received your offer letter for Waipouli. But I just want to also mahalo Kauai District Office for helping to get the word out. They were fielding a lot of calls because of that error, as well as our information and community relations office. They got the word out through social media, email blasts, and the TV, right? So, okay, move on. So the information you've just recently heard talked about the rent with option to purchase program, right? So they kind of shared with you what this project is all about. Income restrictions, what you can and cannot do when you're living in the unit, what happens after year 10. Now, after hearing that information, if this is something that you're interested in and you put in your interested forms, Chair talked about issuing project leases. I believe in the developer's slides, they mentioned undivided interest lease. So those things are interchangeable, right? However, we've rebranded the name. So you're here project lease. That's actually what you would be issued, a project lease. Now, what exactly is that? It is a paper lease granting you an undivided interest in the area, parcel, or subdivision, right? So in this particular case, if you do express interest and you are awarded a lease, you will hold that interest in the Waipouli, right, with option to purchase project. And Kalani mentioned Lihue and some other areas here in Kauai that we're looking at offering next year. Again, if you are issued an award for Waipouli, that is your area. You would not receive an offer for those other areas that he's talked about, right? So be sure to really get all the information about this particular project and, make the best decision for your family. One of the main benefits, or the main benefit of getting this project lease, is that you can immediately designate a 25% successor. Erna went through that information. As an applicant, which you are today, you can only name a 50% successor. But if you receive this project lease, you can immediately name a 25% successor. And you can also transfer that project lease to a 25% successor. And then again, it allows you the time to get financially ready, save up for the down payment that they talked about. So it gives you that time to prepare yourself. Now, what are the requirements to obtain this project lease? It's really just saying you're interested, right? So again, after receiving all this information about Waipouli, RWOP, if you're interested, you can submit your response forms today, in fact. So if you haven't received your letter, but you're interested, we have response forms in the back. You can fill it out, leave it with the housing staff today. The deadline to submit is on or before January 9th, 2026, right? So please be sure you can drop it off at a district office. You can mail it into our Kapolei office. You can email it to us. But again, it has to be received on or before January 9th. If you want to confirm if we received it, you're welcome to call or email us. Because again, we want to make sure we get it before the deadline, right? After the deadline, that might be too late to participate. So when will you receive your project lease? We are tentatively scheduled to have the project lease award meeting on February 28th of 2026. So again, at this time, we will be issuing 82 project leases for the RWOP units. So again, on February 28th, it's just receiving your project lease. You're not being placed in a unit. You're not selecting a unit that day. It's just saying that you're interested in this project, you want to participate, and you're there and you were invited. And again, you don't have to pre-qualify at that time, right? There's no financial qualification. You're not going through any income restrictions at that moment. It is simply saying you're interested, submitting your interest forms by the deadline. And then we'll have more information. Once the deadline passes, we'll send out the invitation letters, and we'll be sure to double check that we did send out the correct ones. So we'll make sure we'll get that taken care of. So again, the steps, what happens? You submit your interested forms by the deadline, you will be invited to the project lease awards meeting. The way we do it is we call it in rank order. So it's based on your original date of application. Just keep in mind, if we do have more than 82 applicants that are interested, then there may be a possibility that we don't get to your rank number. So we won't get to your name. But again, Kalani talked about some other areas that's coming up on Kauai next year that you may have an opportunity to obtain a project lease in those areas. And the great thing about, and what we've changed about doing these selection meetings, is you actually sign your 99-year lease that day. So when we invite you to the awards meeting, your name is called, you come up, we'll actually sit you with a notary and you will sign your 99-year lease that day. And you will also have the ability to designate your successor that day. So again, you will leave with a 99-year lease signed and a DS that has been signed. Once that's all done, we're going to hand over the names to the developer. So again, the 82 lessees, their information will be handed over to the developer. Mark Development will then begin the RWOP qualification process. But as he shared in their presentation, they're actually going to work with you to try and get you to fit within the program, right? So they're going to sit with you, and if they have to work with you one-on-one, they're going to go ahead and do that. Next, please. So again, just the important things to remember. If you're interested, please submit your response form. And again, if that's something you're interested in today, you're welcome to come back, and we'll be happy to take it today. With me today, I have Erin McCabe, Kui Myers in the back, Moana Freitas, and Shanti Gomes were at the sign-in. And then we also have Carol Takeuchi. That's the housing team. Our contact information. So again, if you have any questions about this program, any questions about deadlines, please give us a call, 808-730-0311. You can also email us at dhl.housing@hawaii.gov. But I think we're going to stick around for a bit after the presentation. And if you have any questions, please come and see us in the back. Thank you.
Mahalo, Michelle. So to close, we have, just remember, don't disqualify yourself. Ask questions. Just give them the information and let them figure out how we can work with you. One of the big things you heard from Craig was, let us work with you through the whole process. Any questions, stop by the different tables that are out here. And once again, if you want to go back to take a look at the information, we have a link to this video as well as a link to the information that's here. So there will be a paper PDF copy on there that you can go through the different pages. Mahalo for coming. Have a wonderful weekend and aloha.